few people were asking in my Discord, where have I been? When is the Q&A? I went on vacation, which ended up with one of my parents in the hospital. So they're fine now, they're out of the hospital, but it was a very scary moment, and during that time, New World decided to send out the update. Thank you, devs, for an update. Wish we had a Christmas update, but oh well. I really looked into this update here, and while I was on vacation, and then after that, this past weekend, I just wasn't feeling very well. So apparently, New World released their patch notes, which is the first time for the devs to be able to release the patch notes to the public. It is available on their website, newworld.com, and the article is like a little synopsis of the patch notes that they are doing in alpha. They have really, really, really taken to heart what players are saying, which is exactly thank you, Stream Elements, I am live. Which is exactly what I would want from the devs. So they leaked earlier this month, late last month, about a great hammer, and now miraculously there is a great axe. Where's my great sword? New World, where's my great sword? This looks real awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But unfortunately, the New World will not be available until spring of 2021. That is what they're telling us. They're not giving us a definitive date, but they are letting us know that it is still spring of 2021. So they wanted to let people know what their vision is for the game. They want it to be more skill-based and action-orientated. They wanted to emphasize on, positioning and timing and aiming in the fast and fluid combat settings that allow players to skill to shine on the battlefield, which is what an MMO is all about. They're also wanting to encourage creativity, which I am gracious about them for doing that. Yes, there is Christmas music in the background. I wish I could have some soundtracks from New World, but unfortunately they haven't given us anything. So Christmas music it is, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas, but it is so close to Christmas that it's scary. This year is real scary for everybody. And another thing that New World is wanting to do is encourage creativity within not just the system, but to find the build that is right for the player and their playstyle, which I think is really good. That's something new that I've heard from developers, so I'm really, really interested in it. And it's just real interesting. But another thing that they also leaked on their Twitter account was this shield. I think it's called a tower shield. I'll have to double check the notes, which is on the next screen. But I will definitely check and see exactly what that is. But they have made a lot of recent changes due to player feedback, which is the #1 thing for them, because they're going to be having players play the game why not listen to them on their feedback? Whether it be criticism or whether it be, oh, this is a great thing. The stun lock from a light attack spam against either player or AI combatants isn't fun. So whenever I was playing the preview, I did notice that. It was not very fun after you hit the mob, or after the mob hit you. The stun attack was very, very lacking. In other words, you would get hit, you couldn't get right up again, and the mob would hit you again. So that really deterred me from really wanting to play it again. But with them actually listening to us, I'm open to it. Another thing that they're wanting to, so with this update, they're chaining attacks by allowing players to string 2 or 3 light attacks, depending upon the weapon that you're using. I mean, if it's a great axe or a great hammer, you might not be able to get the 2 or 3 attacks in because it is a much heavier weapon compared to a sword, a hatchet, or a regular hammer. But, I'm really interested in seeing what that has to do. So, another thing that they were looking at is players want to use their abilities more. Like the goodbye, the global cooldown rate. What this entails is it is separate for each weapon. So during the preview, I noticed that whenever I would use my sword, I could not use my hammer's ability because it was the same, but it's 2 different weapons. So they're listening to that feedback and they're like, oh, okay, so these are 2 different weapons. They need 2 different cooldowns. So that's another thing that I'm really liking about that. And they also added a speed up on the weapon switching, which, thank you, song, which is another thing that's great about it, because the 2 or 3 seconds that it takes for your character to change from, like, let's say a sword to a hammer, the mob could already be going back to back to back with you. And they're still getting feedback from the alpha testers. So this isn't set in stone. None of this stuff is set in stone. But they're just letting us know that this is where they are looking towards. Another thing that they looked into after the September preview, the preview event, was weapon, block, and skill hit detection needed really improvement. I said this during the preview, and I know the developers were probably like, oh my god, she's really complaining. I didn't see it as complaining. The way I saw it, and you'll see in the videos on my YouTube channel, because I do have the preview on my YouTube channel, is the hit detection wasn't exactly correct. It would say that I didn't hit the mob, but yet I hit the mob. So it really frustrated me when the mob took more than a few hits to eliminate them, which is really, I really wanted them to work on the hit detection and also the weapon and the blocking. I didn't use the blocking because I'm new. But another thing that they are working on is weapon balancing. It's very crucial, and that is for any kind of MMO. The hatchet during the preview event was far and away the worst of the worst. They were wanting to get rid of it. From what I've read on their Twitter account, they aren't getting rid of the hatchet. They've actually changed the whole tree mastery of the hatchet to where I think one of the developers said that it might be the best weapon in the game. And if they actually did that, that's amazing. I did try the hatchet one time, and I was liable to just have thrown it away because it was horrible. And that was another thing that they said that, and that's what it says in this thing, is that weapon balancing is always going to be at the forefront of the mind when making changes to combat. And that is what it should be, because this is a MMO. Weapon mastering and also weapon balancing. How are the Invisalign? Oh. I will talk about that in a few minutes. Invisaligns are not my friend right now. So a few more things. The AI was able to interrupt players too frequently. I touched on this during the preview event. The hit detection was not very great during the preview event. I had thought about canceling my pre-order, but since they are actually listening to the criticism along with the feedback from the players during the preview event, during the density test, along with this alpha testing, I think they're making a better game. They're able to narrow it down more and rectify, like, okay, we need to work on this. How is this doing, from our testers? Okay, that was a little bit good, but let's try it again. Let's make it great. And that's how everything needs to be, whether it be you're working on a game, whether you're, working on a school project or something. You need to make it better. You don't need to just say, well, I did my best. Or that's the way I see things. And the second line, too many enemies were too good at interrupting the players. They interrupted me so many times that I was yelling at the game during the preview. I think I saw one person comment during that I was too loud. I hope I'm not loud now. And it does say that in their October update, which I did cover a little bit of it, but I mainly covered what they sent me. They introduced a cooldown reset if a skill gets interrupted. So in other words, if you're hitting the mob with like the hammer and you go to use that weapon and the mastery and you get interrupted during that, it resets it, which is good because you didn't actually use it during that time. And another thing that they're working on is healing other players is surprisingly hard. I didn't get to use this during the preview. I didn't get to use a lot of the magic and stuff because there isn't a lot of lore behind this magic that is New World. What exactly is the corrupted doing there? Is it because of the magic? Is it because of the Syndicate? Is it because of the Covenant? Is it because of the Martyrs? Who is making these conflicts in New World, bringing these mobs to life? Is it a little bit of everything? Or is it something that we just don't understand? And that's another thing that I'm wanting to know more about, is the lore. The lore behind each of the factions. The lore behind this Isabella. We haven't heard very much about Isabella. We've seen it through the we've seen it advertised on their website, Isabella's amulet that you would get if you pre-ordered. But devs, who exactly is Isabella? Sorry, I'm still recovering from last week. And this life staff, there's not very much information about any of the weapons other than the weapons that they have actually teased, like the Great Hammer, the Great Axe, the shield, and everything. And I wish I could actually get into the game to be able to find out a lot more of this weapon information. But unfortunately it is an alpha, so the alpha is under a non-disclosure agreement. So even if I was in the alpha, I wouldn't be able to allow anybody to know if I was in the alpha. So another thing that they worked on, and it has to do with body blocking, making ranged damage inconsistent in group play. Now, I did group up with one person during the preview, and I did notice that when I was in that group, that you know, the ranged damage was very inconsistent. The hitboxes were off on the mobs. The damage that I actually did, I didn't think it matched with the weapon that I was using. I questioned the damage that they said was on the weapon at that point. But I didn't play very often with a group, because this is more of a, okay, if you want to play in a group, you can play in a group. If you want to play in a company, you can play in a company or a clan, or you can play by yourself. I played a lot by myself during that time. So, that'll be really interesting to find out. So, they're saying we currently don't allow players to shoot through each other. However, we've recently introduced a dynamic scaling function for enemies. The elite and other high-profile targets are now easier to hit at a range, even when engaged in melee combat with other players. So, to me, that sounds like if you're up on a cliff and you're trying to, oh, hold on. Someone said... that they can't read that very good. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Hold on, guys. I am trying to make it as big as I can. There we go, that's a little bit bigger. I'm sorry. So, like I was saying, with the elite and the higher profile targets, I'm wondering if that's like area mob bosses, or like corruption level bosses, if that is what they're talking about, because they don't really explain it very good in their update on the article. Another thing that they're doing is the ability input needed to allow players to react to changing combat conditions. And let's see. So as you fight, you are inputting actions. Those inputs are sorted into a queue or a buffer that remembers what skill you want to start using next. In this way, you can queue one attack slightly before the previous one ends, which results in a more fluid feeling to combat. So today's update includes a cleanup of input buffers, which should make ability to use more consistent and allow players to better react to new developments on the field of battle. So it doesn't automatically select what it thinks that you're going to want to do. Interesting. And they're looking ahead, and this is like their new, what they're thinking of using towards the future, is to refine the combat by adding a larger variety of weapons, which they've already teased. They've already teased the Great Hammer, the Great Axe, the, I want to say the Tower Shield. I'll figure out what shield it is. But where's the Great Sword? Where's the Great Sword, people? Where's the Great Sword, devs? I want the Great Sword. But then again, do I want the Great Sword because I wouldn't be able to use my shield? That's another thing I need to think about, and that the devs need to think about. Because the shield, you're only able to use the shield with the sword right now. And there has been a lot of talk in the on Twitter about being able to use a hatchet and a shield, which would make sense. Or being able to wield 2 different hatchets. Okay. But it's gonna be really, really interesting. And of course, keep updated on newworld.com. Check out their social channels and the website for any future updates as they continue to develop the game. Now, it doesn't say when the game is coming out. All we know is that the game is coming out in spring of 2021, which 2020 is about to end this year. And I will be grateful that 2020 will be to an end. 2020 has been a heartache for me, personally. Some that I would not go into. But let's go ahead and look at the actual alpha release notes that they teased. So this is the Great Axe, which they had pictured before. It's a melee weapon, and it does a sweeping attack, which is good. And there's 2 mastery trees, the Mortarer and the Reaper. The Mortarer mastery tree focuses on high damage and multi-hit abilities to hack and slash your way through your foes. Ooh. Sounds like my kind of weapon. The Reaper mastery tree focuses on crowd control and escape prevention, something I need to learn. These skills will help you control the flow of the battle while your allies dispatch those who have caught in your grasp. And just look at that weapon. It really does look like the Great Hammer that they teased. But it also reminds me of God of War. Are we gonna be seeing Kratos in this? So apparently there's a legendary Great Axe quest. So you can't get the Great Axe from just building it. Interesting. You can go on an epic quest for the legendary... Oh, legendary! I thought that the weapon ranks were common, uncommon, rare, and epic. So, does legendary come before epic? Is my questioning. And it's called the Reformation. Only level 60 adventurers can speak to Ranger Herb in Eden Grove to begin this quest. So it seems like it's a end of game type quest. Phooey. That's gonna take a long time. And they did make some changes to the PvP duels. Those that really want to be able to do PvPs. Duels can be initiated by any player over the level of 10, regardless of any faction or PvP flag status. In other words, if I wanted to do a PvP against anybody, all I would have to do, from what this says, is that you can initiate a duel by hovering over another player's name in the chat or on social menu and click invite to duel, or by entering /duel and then their player name in the chat. Duels cannot be initiated in settlements or during wars or invasions. Outside interference will end a duel. You can duel solo or in groups of up to 5 players per side. Ooh. So you could have a group duel. Interesting. You just cannot be in a settlement or during a war or invasion. Well, when you do the wars or invasions, you're teleported to another area. And outside interference will end a duel. So I guess if a mob hits you, the duel is done. Oh, jeez. Why can't it teleport you somewhere else whenever you do a duel? Cause I would hate for a mob to just, ugh. Okay. It's called the Tower Shield. Okay. Well, it's big enough. Unleash your inner legionary with the new Tower Shield, the biggest and most powerful shield in New World to date. So are they going to be adding more shields, New World? Can be tank on, but the greatest of blows from your enemies. And there is a legendary Tower Shield quest. Great. So players can gather components to craft the legend. So you can't even craft it until you go on that quest. Hold up. So for the axe, so for the Great Axe, you recover the components needed to create the powerhouse, then deliver them to Ranger Madaki in Mountain Home. Does Ranger Madaki give you it? Or can you craft it? They didn't answer that in the information about the quest. But it says for the shield that you gather the components to craft it from Rook's Defense. And you go to Ranger Wardle in Eden Grove to begin the quest. So of course with a shield with a new shield, they had to do some shield updates. So they've updated the way shields work for both armor and equipment calculations. Okay. Interesting. Shields now add to your armor in addition to block chance. Shield armor bonus is only applied when the shield is unshaved and being wielded. So if you have it on your back, you do not get the shield bonus. Shields now always contribute to your total equipment weight. Ooh. Ooh. Well, it makes sense. But, oh, look at that shield. That's about the same size as the character. Well, not that one. I want that. What I would like to be able to do, and I know the devs are not going to be listening to me, but if they do, I would like to be able to actually be able to use the some of the weapons that the mobs have. So like this anchor hammer, I want to say, or anchor axe. Anchor axe. That's what I'm gonna call it, anchor axe. I would like to be able to use that. And it doesn't have to be a great drop chance. It can be a really slight drop chance. Like very slight. Like 1 in 50 million times that it would drop. But they did update the combat system. Here's a little bit more information about the update of the combat system, because the other one is just like a little cliff notes. This is more in depth of what they did for the combat system. They removed the interruptions from light and heavy attacks for all weapons, which is a great thing. And light attacks can now have chains, which is good. They reduce the amount of stamina damage that light attacks do versus blocking and grid attacks. They reduce the recovery time after certain abilities, which, thank God. Players can now consistently cancel out of light and heavy attacks to begin abilities sooner and immediately after the attack's active frame. Ooh. And players can now cancel out of light and heavy attacks to dodge sooner, a few frames after the attack's active frames have completed. So it seems like they're really revamping this combat system, which is what this game is about. It's about the lore. You know, it's a little bit about lore. It's a little bit about character creation. And it's a little bit about the weapons. But it's mainly about this combat system. Can now cancel out of attacks to begin blocking sooner. And remove the blocked animation frames from blocking to allow for more free-flowing combat. But like I said, during the preview event, this hatchet was the worst item in the game. People were throwing these left and right, throwing them off, giving them to players, and now, from what I understand, they've changed that. They've made it to a better weapon. So that's going to be interesting to see whenever it does finally come out. Ooh. This is a good one. Nice and snowy. Now, to me, I'm not sure to you guys, but to me, this axe also looks like it's part spear. So, is there any way, developers, that we can have like a dual use of a weapon? Like, I know a lot of games have dual use weapons, and it really does look like that could be one of them. I'm not sure. And so this was a part 2 update of the critical hit system. So they did the part 1 update, I want to say back in October, November, that they announced that they did a part 1 critical hit system, and now this is a part 2. But they're working on refining the hits. They've updated the backstabs and critical hit indicators to match the visual looks of headshot indicators for more visual consistency, and they added sound effects to help signal when a critical hit happens. That's real interesting, because if you didn't see the numbers, you would never know that there was a critical hit that happened. And I see that they did do a little bit more here about the target healing update. Now, I didn't play around a lot with the magic because it's not that I didn't know anything about the magic. It was just more of, okay, this is the magic part, but what is it about the magic? Is it the magic that is actually creating these corrupted, or is it the magic that is fighting against the corrupted? It never says during it. I've never found it during the preview, but I would want to know. Is this magic something that is being used only for New World? So they balanced the bow and the shield, which I will tell you, I was bad at the bow. I was worse at the shield. So they increased some cooldown and they decreased some cooldown, and they reduced the damage but increased the cooldown of the spread shot of the bow. And it added 2 shield-specific perks. These are applicable to all types of shields. It doesn't say what perks they gave them. They're still keeping that under lock and key, I see. I see that, devs. But they also did a UI and UX update. They've overhauled the tooltips, the presentation of the tooltips. Huh. Okay. And then progression and rewards. Ooh. So progression adjusted the leveling curve from levels 1 through 10 to better match the pace of the quest. I do have to agree to that. During the preview, it seemed like I leveled up too quickly from 1 to 10. Well, it was more like 1 to 15, I want to say. I leveled up way too quickly, and the abilities that I had for the weapons were not up to par. So it seems like they took that to heart. The rest of the experience is so that it now starts accumulating after 12 hours, increased from 8 hours, and occurs at 2% per hour, decreased from 2.5. Okay. And reduce the XP from PvP missions by 10%. I can see this happening. They're not wanting to only be a PvP MMO, they're wanting to be able to have people who want to be playing PvE like me, who want to just play on mobs and everything, and may, get their feet wet a little bit with the PvP. I'm still very wary on the PvP missions because, yeah, they highlight it a whole bunch during these updates, but I'm not actually seeing any raw information about it. And the economy in this patch, we made a set of item changes to pave the way for future crafting system changes. Okay, we've added in new gathering milestones, resources, and crafting regenerates. In a future update, we'll talk more about how these item changes fit into the overall crafting vision. So apparently they're going to be doing a crafting overhaul sometime in the near future. Hopefully they'll do a little update or an article about that. But I really do appreciate them, giving us more of the patch notes than, oh, here's an article and this is what we're doing. And I think that's something that the community was really wanting, was more of, okay, what exactly is in the patch notes? I understand that this is a synopsis, but maybe I want to take a better look into it. Because they didn't talk anything about the progression or the economy in the article. And I have a feeling that might have been a little bit of the update, but it wasn't a heavy part of the update, because the heaviest part of the update was on the critical hit system and also the combat for this update, because that is mainly what New World is about. But then, there's all this other stuff like the lore, the weapons, the abilities, the factions, the don't you know I'm blue with nobody to call mine? Why must you shine so bright? I won't be home for Christmas. Sorry. That was very annoying, having a person talking behind me. But I do like what they have shared with us, and now being able to see all these new weapons and all these updates that they have actually patched through, it's given me hope for this game. It's given me a new sense of, okay, they're actually listening to the alpha testers. They're actually listening to the reviewers that are actually reviewing their game through their articles. They're actually listening to the community, which is what they need to listen to. Yes, they do need to be able to develop the game, but the community isn't being like, oh, we need the game right now. We're wanting to make sure that this game is finished. We don't want it to be a Cyberpunk 2077 and have patches galore when it first comes out. We want it to be finished. We want it to have very few updates to the system, because the thing is that with anything, if there is any kind of update, it can really make it can either make or break the game. And if it breaks the game, you're going to lose people. And see, with this MMO, with it not having any kind of subscription or anything, and it being a one-time pay, they want to be able to get more and more players. They want to be able to sell it more. So they do need to listen to the players. But it seems like they're really listening to us. They're really listening to the creators that are part of the creator program. They're really listening to the alpha testers. They're really listening to the community that is all over on their Twitter page. They're really listening to everybody. They're not only talking amongst themselves, they're also getting feedback from everybody, whether it be the community, whether it be from the testers, or the feedback that they got back in the preview and beta testing, the density testing, any kind of testing that they've had. They're taking their time to give us updates, which I really do appreciate. And I hate that I didn't get this update out earlier, but I was sick. I'm feeling a lot better now, but I just wanted to leave it at this, and I hope that they are able to listen to us. And New World, if you are actually listening to this stream, or you actually see it on my YouTube channel, I do appreciate everything that y'all have done. I hope everybody has a great and nice holiday. I hope everyone stays safe. If you are traveling, travel safe, please. We are in the midst of a pandemic, so everyone stay safe, and I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas. I will see you on the next stream or on the next video. I am so close to 10 followers. I hope to be able to get to 10 followers by the end of the year, but I understand if I don't. So if you don't already follow me here on Twitch, please, please, please follow me so that you know the next time that I do stream. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I know I haven't been able to post there, but I've been sick. I've been trying to get information back from the doctors. I've had so much testing and everything, and I've actually been doing some home testing, so I hope that it comes out that everything's good. But everybody have a great and safe night. Stille Night in German, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.